A little bit of background of the cafe. The cafe opened in 1888, 1888, and it opened the day we got electrical light for the very first time in the city of Pamplona. Okay, so this is the entrance to the cafe, Cafe Iruña 1888. Let's walk in. So, welcome everybody to this beautiful, beautiful, beautiful cafe. And when I say that it was open the day we got electrical light, as you can see, we have thousands of lights and mirrors absolutely everywhere around this cafe. Okay? When the cafe opened, everybody from town, they were called by the local newspaper, come see the light. Everybody came to the cafe, and it was completely dark, and suddenly they turned the lights on. It was so new, so incredible, and so amazing. And we were such village people that people ran away thinking it was evil. People didn't like the light in 1888 here in the city of Pamplona. But we're talking about Hemingway. So we're going to go to one little corner of the cafe where we have him, the hero of the city. Let me introduce you to Ernest Hemingway, that he is already in party. He has his bandana. And beside, well, this beautiful, beautiful cafe, okay, okay, let me set all of this going on around here. Can you hear me well? See? Okay, perfect. Because we have a super guest today. I'm super excited to introduce you to a writer, journalist, Pamplona Riding of the Bulls lover, and especially Ernest Hemingway grandson. So hello, John. John Hemingway is with us today, which I think it's incredible. He showed up. So I don't know where you are because I can only see tiny little squares.
I'm basically 3 squares up from you, friend.
Okay, let me find you.
How is it down there? It's great up here. Yeah.
Oh, there we go. Hola, John. How are you doing?
Not bad. Thanks for inviting me. Actually, you sent me the letter on Friday, and I only saw it last night. And I hurriedly wrote something saying, "Please forgive me for being so late." Something like that.
Well, it's a great pleasure, a great honor having you here. Okay, you have been to Pamplona many times.
9 times, actually.
9 times. Okay, so now you have a tie because your grandfather also came 9 times to the city of Pamplona.
Yeah, I would have gone there, of course, last year. I was planning on promoting, the book I wrote there, bringing a lot of copies and everything else. But everything was shut down. This year, interestingly enough, I have a Spanish agent. She is the founder of Marca Páginas and Goizeda. You probably know her. Yeah, she's a local there. And she got in touch with me through Miguel Izu, who's the English translation of his book, Hemingway Los Sanfermines, is been translated into English. I'm doing the forward for him. And he put me in touch with Goizeda, who's his agent too. And right now, the good people at Planeta are having a look at it and deciding whether or not it's trash or something they want to keep. You know it goes in publishing. You're in when you're in, and not till you're in. That's it.
Well, good luck with that.
Yeah.
So, what else? Researching, I've seen that you have run many times also with the books. Not like your grandfather who never did.
Well, I mean, he had an excuse. Let's put it this way. I mean, he was wounded there on the front in Italy and had over 100 pieces of shrapnel in both his legs. And so he might have been somewhat reticent when it came to risking his legs again. I mean, it's like been there, done that sort of thing. I don't blame him because, I mean, I've done it, I think, about 17 times now. and it's bloody dangerous. There's no safe spot. It's 900 meters of pure chance. You just don't know what's going to happen. And if you think there are safe spots, like, oh, let's hide in that door sill there. I've seen plenty of pictures of the bull just going in there, boom, like this, and flipping someone out, okay, of one of those. They can lift you like you lift, I don't know, you throw a big pen in the air or something. They're just so agile, so incredibly strong and wild. I mean, that is it. And so after a while, you know, I'd be down there, you know, just before 8 o'clock. And I'd be saying to myself, you know, as other people were saying suerte, I said, what the hell are you doing down here, John? You know, tienes familia, you know, stuff like that, you know. And but then you don't even think about it. There's just the adrenaline rush, you know, when they're coming and everything, and you go, boom, that's it. And, you know, you really are praying that the gods are looking out for you, because you never know what's going to happen.
You never know. When you run with the bull,
you never know.
Yeah.
But it is amazing. It is amazing because you feel the strength of them. I mean, you're not supposed to touch them, but just the presence is something. You know, as I say in the novel I wrote there, Bacchanalia, a Pamplona story. These bulls are the direct descendants of the aurochs. And the aurochs are the bulls that were painted on the caves of Lascaux and Altamira. And the beginnings of European art started there, if you want to look at it that way. And see, they are a direct link to the sublime, you could say, to the mystic beginnings of European culture. And if it weren't for bullfighting, I mean, probably a lot of you are against you know, bullfighting, la corrida. And I can understand why. The first time I saw it down in Malaga, I thought it was pretty shocking. But it is something which enables these bulls to exist, because otherwise they would not be bred as they are. And without the bulls, you don't, because these are, you know, pura raza, you know, well, these are, what do they call them? They're
Toros de Lidia, or?
Sí, de Lidia. Okay. And, you know, they are specifically bred for this, and they're kept in the wild until that day when they're taken to the rings. Yeah. And it's just amazing. I mean, God, these animals are a presence, really.
I'm personally also in love with the bulls. I think it's the most beautiful creature in the world. It's power, it's a strength, it's nature.
Yeah,
it's
absolutely. I mean,
the essence.
Totally. Yeah, I agree with you on
nature.
That. You've got to see it. You've got to see the running of the bulls, and even better if you can run with them. You know, that's you know, you take a chance. I mean, it's an amazing thing. It's the one country in the world which allows you that moment in which you can experience the ephemerality of life. You don't know how it's going to go, because that is always what life is. Any moment can be your last. I remember once meeting a Portuguese matador, and I asked him, you know, was he scared? I mean, he'd been gored a couple of times, you know, and he said to me, John, death is all around us, always, at any time. And this is something you learn when you are a torero. And it just teaches you to respect that and to understand that life is ephemeral, can end in an instant, and that you must live every moment as if it were your last. And yeah, I mean, running with the bulls is one thing. What they do in the bull ring is something else. That's what we do. Yes, can be beautiful and everything, but what they do is art when it's done well. I mean, it's. Yeah. I know a lot of people will disagree with me on this too.
No,
but, you know, it's something I realize. Yes, it is something cruel. It is something. But these bulls were bred for that. They know no fear. It's amazing. And even at the end, they do not. Okay. Their dignity is beyond reproach at all times.
And I think in The Sun Also Rises, Ernest, he really, the way he describes the bullfighting, it's that part. I mean, it's that respect, strange respect of life and pride and honor and the whole thing. So yeah, I think the bullfighting, you have to see it to try to understand it, which is very difficult. But
it's not a sport. A lot of people say, oh, it's so unfair. It was never meant to be a question of winning or fairness or anything else. It is a drama.
It is drama.
You could say, in a sense, it's theater, in a sense. And the bullfighter is the act. He is performing, and he's judged on his performance, and as is the bull too.
Yeah. You were talking about your book, Bacchanalia, that, by the way, we are going to post the link to his book, which, when you read it, you're going to see that it's like a modern The Sun Also Rises. And in both books, the essence of the city, the essence of the celebration, the essence of the party, it's there. I was going to tell you, John, as a foreigner, but if you've been so many times, you're not a foreigner anymore. But what was the first thing that attracted you? What was, out of the fiesta, out of this crazy, you have to think that Pamplona, we're only a little bit over 200,000 people. And during that week, we go over 1 million.
Oh, easy. I mean, they say that during the whole fiesta, upwards of 11 million people visited. You know, I mean, that's insane. Especially in the beginning. You know, on the day of the Chupinazo, on the 6th of July, the place is jam-packed. Okay. And it just, if you're there, as often I am in the Plaza del wherever it is.
Ayuntamiento.
City Hall, yeah, Ayuntamiento, yeah, there we go.
The
I need to be there for about a week, you know, and drink with some friends and stuff like that. Then my Spanish comes back to me. Yeah, right now I've been doing too much other stuff in Italian, so I'm used to that, you know. But anyway, usually when I'm speaking Spanish, I'll insert an Italian word if I don't know the Spanish word. People look at me so say, "Oh yeah, that." Okay. But yeah, the atmosphere is incredible. It is just this energy of hundreds of thousands of people, millions of people, many of them who've been drinking since 6 in the morning or something like that, or even before then, and who will continue drinking throughout the day and into the night until the next morning when they have the first rum with the bulls. And you see them, some of them, you know, have been up all night and they're still going to rum with the bulls. If they're super, super drunk, the local police will just sort of say, afuera, and just kick them out, you know. Or if they're doing something stupid, like wearing, I don't know, GoCam or GoPro on their heads or something like that, you're not supposed to do that. I've seen women go in there with high heel shoes on, you know, and say, holding their tennis shoes, and I'm going to switch, you know, when I see the bulls coming. And I'm like, no, you're not gonna have a chance. Yeah, you gotta do it now. But the atmosphere, the party atmosphere is incredible. You know, it's very spontaneous. You can make an appointment to see a friend and you'll never see him, and then maybe you'll bump into him, and then you'll meet other people that you didn't know. It's just so extemporaneous, so full of life. I mean, you know, la fiesta está por la calle. That's what they say there. You know, it's out there, and you make it. And the people make it. Of course, there are a lot of events, and they have concerts too, and all the rest of it. But then friends are meeting, and then they go bar hopping, and then maybe you get behind a peña band, you know. And these things play all throughout the night, you know, going throughout around the streets and everything else, and playing their songs, and it's insane, man. I swear to God, you need. I just sort of, for a while, I think usually I kind of like give up eating in the first couple of days, and I'm just on the liquid diet, you know, gin and tonics and beer basically. And I lost track of time, I believe, in the beginning. Somewhere between the 8th and the 9th, I was confusing dates and people I met and places where I was or wasn't. You know, it's so crazy.
It's crazy.
And then you meet a lot of friends every year that you've met beforehand. This is the great thing about it. The best thing about it is the friends. Yeah, without a doubt.
And okay, so now let's go a little bit to The Sun Also Rises, which is the book we've been reading, and all of this riding of the bulls. We have a video that what we're going to do, we're going to see it once, then I'm going to put the characters, let's put it that way, in the video, and we're going to watch it again, so you spot the different, it's just like 5 seconds. There's nothing gory, okay? So don't panic. So please, Trish, if you could put the little video on, let's see if we can see it.
Yes,
Like 10
and
seconds.
if there is not sound on that, sorry, forgive me for that, but we definitely do have the video. So here we go. Can you guys see that? Fran, can you tell me, can you see the video?
Yes. Mm-hmm.
Okay, here we go. I'll make this
Okay.
full screen.
Check the guy with the circle. Oh, check everybody.
Bunk. Yeah, there you go.
Yeah. Natural selection.
Darwin Awards, yeah.
Yeah. So,
Okay.
and I mean,
Oh,
Hi,
okay,
what are you
sorry,
doing there?
coming back to it. There you
okay,
go.
we're back. So the issue is that, as you have said, the Rhine of the Bulls, it's fast, it's super chaotic, and it's a moment of really quick decision. So going over the book, I have taken each one of the characters, or the main characters of the book, and I have placed them on the video. Okay, so because I think the book, or Ernest Hemingway uses the running of the bulls as a metaphor to see or to show us how each one of us deals with fear, with love in this case, or passion in this way. Okay, so I'm gonna set, and this is my point of view. Obviously, this is where I want this discussion to start with, because each one of us, we're gonna have a different opinion. Who is who in the book? Okay, so for me, Lady Brett, Ashley, she is the bulls. She's the passion. She is the one that runs everybody off. It's like, oh, too much passion, right? That's Lady Brett. Who is Jake? Jake, to me, the easy thing is to say he's the steer. He has was castrated, or he's important. So maybe, but to me, he's not the steer. He's the watcher. He's the person taking the video. Okay, he's up there looking at all the action that is taking place under the balcony. Okay, Robert Kahn is, as Hemingway says, he's the ass. He's the stupid one. It's like the guy jumping, whoo, bam. Okay, I love you, Brett. I love you. Gone with the wind, man. Bill Gordon. To me, he's the good friend. He is the person that is always there. He's the runner that is a beginner, so it's not one of the good runners. Okay. Mike Campbell, he's insecure. He has self-pity. He's there because Lady Brett wants him to be there. So he's, to me, if you check at the bottom on the left of the picture, there's two people hanging from a barricade or whatever, which is like, okay, we're here, big deal. And Pedro Romero, the bullfighter, which is, dignity, confidence, honesty, purity. He's the good runner. Okay, the runners that run in front of the bulls, in front of the horns, and he's risking his life. So let's see again the video, and let's see if you guys can place Lady Brett as the bull, Jake as the observer, Robert Kahn as the ass, sorry, being run over by the bulls. Bill Gordon, one of those clumsy runners, which is not 100% good, okay, but always in the, always there. Mike Campbell, hanging on the wall, and Pedro Romero running the perfect run. So please, Trish, turn it on, and let's watch the Rhine of the Bulls. Or maybe not. We can hear you, Trish.
Sorry.
Okay, there we go.
I am very slow on this uptake. So here we go again. And looking for all those people.
So check on the left, the guy with the blue and the girl with the green. Lady Brett coming, about to run over everybody. There goes Mike. Are you sorry, Robert? Okay. So, how are we going to do this? Because we've been thinking.
It clearly was only possible with support
So
from our
sorry.
viewers.
Okay, go ahead.
So the thing is that how are we going to organize the talk now? Because it's going to be kind of complicated. So what we're going to do is not unmute everybody. So there's two ways to communicate. One, you can write it. I'm not going to be able to see it because I'm only on the telephone. I'm not on a computer. So Trish can read the question to me and we can debate a little bit. And if not, just either raise your hand and Trish will let you ask the question. You have to unmute yourself. So if somebody has any questions about the book, about the Rhine of the Bulls or anything, it would be a pleasure to hear your questions or your thoughts about the book. Here I am rehydrating.
Don't be shy.
If not, is there a character you connect more? Who did you connect with? I mean, who was your person?
Helen, go ahead. Helen Houston.
Just to get the ball rolling, really. I read the book. Well, I didn't read the book. I read it. I listened to the book, and I just loved the style of the book. It was just, it suited me, and it suited for me listening to it. The short sentences, I think, Fran, in the introduction that you did, you talked about the journalistic style and the short sentences and getting to the point. And I just found that right through the book. It was good and it was fast moving. And I did get a little bit confused with some of the characters because I couldn't visualize them initially. And I think possibly I began to get a little bit annoyed with who was it reading it for me? One of the actors, one of the well-known actors. His Scottish accent was just so bad.
Were you listening to the William Hurt edition?
Really detracted from that character. So all I could think was, oh, please don't try to be a Scotsman. But no, I enjoyed the book, and I did get the sense of the running of the bulls and the. I just felt it was a completely different world. That you know, this just wandering and say, we'll stay here for so long, we'll go down and we'll drink and we'll drink. I mean, it was my lifestyle. I just don't have the wherewithal to carry it out. But I did like it.
I love that. Helen, I think that you might have also been listening to the same edition that I was, which was the William Hurt version. And I kept thinking about you and every lady from Scottish Blethers and just thinking, oh, they would be turning right now, just cringing at hearing all of this. We do have some questions that came up in the feed, and I'm just going to go through these. And Fran, if you want to address them. Mm-hmm. Carol said, is everyone drinking for days on end?
The answer is yes. Yeah, and the thing is that you have to think that it's very hot. So if you dance enough, you sweat it. So not big deal. The thing is that is one of the things that here in the city of Pamplona, when people come over here during that week, there's a lot of alcohol, but the camaraderie, the happiness in the city, you don't feel insecure. You know, I have a 19-year-old daughter, and she comes down in the city and she's with her friends and she comes back home. And, you know, it's not that you're all afraid about it. I'm more afraid of my 17-year-old boy, who I was kind of happy that this last year the Rhine of the Bulls was canceled, so he didn't get to drink. I'm a bad father.
And Glenn wants to know what happens to the bull at the end.
The bulls, okay, the Rhine of the Bulls starts. It's about half a mile, it's like 100 meters, and the Rhine of the Bulls, it's just getting the bulls from where they sleep the last night. We take them to the bull ring where they will die that afternoon. So during the rest of the day, they will rehydrate, they will rest, and like in the sun also rises, the bullfighters there's an auction, not an auction, but it's like a very traditional way of who bulls fights each bull. And in the afternoon, the bulls will die.
And Susana is asking, when did San Fermin become such an international fiesta among foreigners? Is Hemingway is it Hemingway that really put Pamplona and San Fermin on the world's map?
This guy, yeah.
I would say
Pictures
no.
before 1923, they are not, you see people, and it was more local type of thing. But when the book was published, a lot of people think it was just the book, but you have to think that he came here as a journalist. So he wrote many, many articles. And thanks to those articles, he made us world famous. So we owe him big. Tour guides, we love him.
Can we get John to give a little insight into that too, maybe from his family perspective?
More from my family perspective, I'd say from the perspective of the writer Miguel Izu, whose book I'm reading now in English. He's saying that Pamplona was already quite famous at the middle of the 1800s and throughout Europe. And it was widely known, and those Americans who could afford to travel to Europe back in the day were already going to see it. My grandfather heard about it from, what was her name there? Gertrude Stein. And she had been going there with her companion, Alice Toklas, for quite some time. She told him about it because she thought that it was something important for him in his writing, and he went down there. And people seemed to, for some reason, get the idea that Ernest discovered the fiesta and then made it world famous. No, it was already famous in the world before, well, at least more than 50 years before he was born.
Beth says it was great to reread the book after having visited Pamplona and Donostia with Fran, as well as starting in Paris prior to the tour. Also watched the 1957 film. So great to see some familiar spots. And I think that that's true for those of you who have traveled to Spain and have been to Pamplona. A lot of the imagery probably really came to life for you as you were reading through it. For me, despite the brevity of each sentence, there was so much impact in the descriptions, right? It was enough to put you there, to make you feel it. And I just found that so compelling reading this again for the second time in my life, to go through this book and feel that. Is there anybody else who had that similar kind of feeling, either with Paris or with Pamplona? Kathy, go ahead.
Yeah, I too reread the book. I'm sure I read it someplace in my high school or college career. And I don't know why I didn't pick it up before we went to on the Basque tour. I traveled with Beth, by the way, and Fran. We also watched the movie Midnight in Paris as kind of an introduction to this book, because the guy who plays Ernest Hemingway in that movie is kind of a caricature, obviously, of Ernest Hemingway, but the cadence of his speech totally matched the cadence of the words in the book. And I actually had the pleasure of reading the book aloud to my husband. We were on a couple road trips, and I read it aloud to him and tried to sort of mimic that cadence of the words, and it was very enjoyable. But yes, absolutely, having been there, the places just came alive.
Anybody else get similar feeling or experience? If you do get a chance to listen to the audiobook again, or even if you reread it again, there's a certain segment when Jake is walking in the southern part of Paris, and he's going through Rue Mouffetard, and he's going on the Rue du Pot de Fer. And I listened to that and actually went to Google Maps and just tracked the pathway that they were going. And I went, oh yeah, okay, they're gonna turn here and they go this way. Oh yeah, and then they go up this way and they end up at the Select. And it's really cool to do that. So I advise, if you have a chance, just for that little segment, go back and check that out and do it with Google Maps. It's fun. Kathy says, I enjoyed reading and listening to, different Kathy, by the way, this is Kathy Romack, says, I enjoyed reading and listening to the book as I learned the pronunciation of so many of the words.
Yes.
And that is a nice little integration of that, to have some of the French words and some of the Spanish words that are kind of intermixed in there. Did anybody have any difficulty with that, or did they also find it that it was helpful to have those? Did anybody have to look up those words? I see a lot, some head
Everybody speaks
nodding.
perfect Spanish and perfect French.
Everybody's fluent. Laura followed on Google Maps as well. And Laura also wants to know a little bit more about San Fermin because she's not super familiar with it. And how did the running of the bulls become affiliated with him? Well, Fran talked a little bit about that with the articles that he wrote in addition to this, in addition to this novel, of course. John, do you know a little bit about some of the last visits that your grandfather made to Pamplona?
I believe last year was 1959. And before that, I'm not sure if it was 56 or 54. They were in the 1950s, and he may have been there towards the end of the 1940s. After the Civil War, he said that he would never return to Spain so long as the Franco regime was in power. And of course, he broke that promise because, well, Spain was Spain, and he had to get back there. And of course, while they were not terribly enthusiastic about him because of what he did in terms of supporting the Republican side, they were also trying to sort of, create this sort of rapprochement with the United States government, which wanted to use some of their ports as bases for their submarines. And so this was helpful to the Spanish government to be very nice to him and to his wife, Mary, when they were traveling through Spain. And, oh yeah, I mean, I don't know. I guess he just probably should have said, screw it, let's go. Yeah. A lot of people get on this case for that, definitely.
Let me just interject with another question that's coming from Kathy. What character do you think Hemingway identified with the most?
Is that a question?
And I guess that's an open question maybe for everybody, because
okay.
I mean, obviously how we interpret what Hemingway writes, there's intention obviously behind what he does, but we always, I think, whenever we read, impose our own perspectives and world paradigms and all of that. So do we all think the same way? I don't know. Fran, who do you think that he identified?
Who do I think? I was now going over the characters. Maybe I think could be Ladybird, that passionate, that, I'm free, I do whatever I have to do because it's me, the one, that self-confidence that it seems to be self-confident, but at the end, there's some weakness on the back at the end of it. I mean, Ladybird needs Jake, and so maybe it could be her. It's kind of like a twisted game, but what about you?
For me, well, only because it was set up as the narrator. I think that Jake was probably the one to whom he most closely identified. But I think that I think even just in life that we pick up things from other people, right? Like who I am is not simply because I am this way. I am who I am because of the people with whom I interact, with the experiences that I've had and all of that. So I think that there's probably a touch of Hemingway in all of those characters in some way. And that John could obviously speak more clearly to this about how close to fact and reality that fiction that he created really was, because it's obviously based on personal experiences and, likely direct people with whom he spent time. And so
he got a lot of people. A lot of people were very angry at his characterizations, so to speak, of his characters there, because he didn't do a lot to hide some of the people. And the Jewish boxer, for instance, was someone who he was essentially competing with for the favors of what was her name? Lady Duff, is that it? In reality, I think. And this was pretty much also while his first wife Hadley was there. I mean,
this picture, it is from Hemingway's first visit to the city of Pamplona.
Yeah, there you go.
Because we always think about him as a beard, old chubby guy. That's Ernest Hemingway. Well, sorry for the light. Yep. So
But as to who resembles him most, it's hard to say. You know, he always said that, you know, what I write is fiction. Okay, it's not, the characters there are not me, you know. So I think that's true just about any writer who does fiction. Sure, part of you may be in a character, but it's never totally you. I mean, I can't think that Jake would be someone that he would identify with. I don't think his nuts have been blown off in the war, sort of thing. Otherwise, I wouldn't be here. You know.
If any of you have this edition of the book, there is a section in there with photographs. So if you haven't had a chance to take a look at that, you can look at some really cool artifacts, photographic artifacts of Hemingway's time there and some of the people that he spent time with, and even an entry ticket to the corrida. So really cool stuff to check out in that edition. Are there any other questions that you guys have? Okay, go ahead.
Hi, thank you. John, a pleasure to meet you. Thank you for being here. And I just want to ask you a question that you said earlier that you've been already 9 times, right, in Pamplona?
Yeah, yeah.
Running of the Bulls. Also, under your point of view, in all the times that you've been over there, doing the running of the bulls or drinking or just non-sleeping, you know, linking one day with another, all your experience compared with your grandfather's, especially in the book, in The Sun Also Rises, there are several storylines, all of them linked constantly. How do you see the evolution of what The Sun Also Rises express about the city of Pamplona and the running of the bulls compared with your experience in here? Have you found any evolution, or you find it is exactly the same kind of spirit that has the book?
Well, up until 2019, the last time that I was there and the last time they've had them so far, I could definitely say that the number of people who are at the fiesta has increased significantly. I mean, it's packed. I don't think there might have been a lot of people, you know, for him, or he thought there was a lot of people, but it was nothing compared to the number of people who had been going there up until 2019. Another thing which I think is the same is the camaraderie, and you find that, and it's still, you know, a fairly happy place to be. Yes, there are cases which have made the papers, like for instance, that gang rape of that young lady a couple of years back, which was horrible. But in general, I don't think there are too many crimes. There are pickpockets, yes, but serious crimes, I don't think there are too many there in Pamplona, what I've heard. The spirit is the same. You know, it is a fiesta which is at the same time both religious and pagan, you know, because it celebrates, you know, San Fermin, and yet you've got the running of the bulls, which in itself is something pagan. It's a reenactment of the hunt of these animals, if you want to think of it that way. And when the whole tribe would drive them over a precipice or something like that, you know. And it's intense, you know. It is intense but happy. It is like the Roman sort of festivals that they would have, which lasted days with drinking and, you know, kind of outrageous behavior. And there are many gods there. There's the Christian God, there's the God of the bulls, the God of our ancestors, the God of, I don't know, the Aurochs, you know, it's, you know, the God of the old bullfighters, perhaps, you know. Maybe even of Ernest himself. Maybe there's a ghost of Ernest that hovers around in that Rincon de Hemingway, you know. I don't know.
There he is, right behind Fran.
Yeah, it's a strange place, Pamplona. You know, it's such history, such passion, and every time I go there, it's like going home, you might say.
Well, and that leads us to Kristen's question. Fran, this is more for you. If we were not in Pamplona when it was, if we were in Pamplona when it was not San Fermin, what type of experience would we have in the cafes or the bull ring today?
The bull ring?
Not COVID times, like normal times, but
Normal.
not San Fermin.
Personally, I think the best moment to come it's September, because in the fall it rains less than in the spring, and the city it's totally different during the year compared to that week. Okay, during the year it's a very quiet. Everybody knows everybody. You go in the streets and hey, Fran, everybody knows everybody. The cafe, it's this beautiful cafe. Normally it's open and everybody thinks that this is for tourists, but it's not just for tourists, because for us locals, this Cafe Iruña, it's our home. We are here because it's our place. In my personal, we all have a personal connection with this cafe. My personal connection is that I'm here thanks to this cafe, because my grandparents met in Cafe Iruña. My grandmother, she used to work at Hotel La Perla as a maid, and my grandfather, he was a waiter here. And the girls had a little moment, they would come over here to have a coffee. And that's how my grandparents met. So for us locals, this cafe, it's, I don't know, we love this place. So the cafe, it's there. And about the bull ring, now it's beginning to be opening, but we don't know the time. So it's kind of difficult to visit the bull ring right now. It's not too easy. Yep.
Beth has a question for you, Fran. She says, I seem to remember you indicating that there are a couple of festivals, the larger being in July and smaller in fall. Can you talk about the differences?
Okay, the thing is that the San Fermin, we always say it's from July 6th. San Fermin is the week of the Running of the Bulls. It starts July 6th and it ends July 14th. And San Fermin is the main patron of the state of Navarre. The thing is that back then in time, it was in September, but the shepherds could not work properly because in September there's a lot of work to do, so they could not celebrate. And they decided to move it in the 16th century, and they moved it to July 7th, which is the day of San Fermin today. So today, every year we celebrate the big San Fermin, which is from July 6th to July 14th, and then in September we celebrate the small San Fermin, and we have pretty much the same except bulls. There are no running of the bulls and there's no bullfights. Okay, but the ambience in the street, I mean, we don't welcome a lot of tourists, and I think it's like a surprise for people when they come in. Oh, but it's what's going on? Oh, this San Fermin, but isn't it July? But this is a small San Fermin. So coming in that moment of the year is super fun, because there's the giant parades and the big heads, and everybody's happy.
And John is asking if you know if San Fermin will happen this year in Pamplona. Is there intent to have that happen?
No.
Not
the City Hall has not said anything at all, but I've been talking with people at the City Hall, and they say that it's not going to happen, and it really shouldn't happen. I mean, we cannot, unfortunately, we should not welcome people from everywhere around the world and be all in one tiny little square. So I don't think by July we're all going to be vaccinated. So 80% chances that we're not going to have Running of the Bulls 2022, which breaks my heart to say it. It's like, oh God. But no, it's horrible.
Does anybody have any other questions or insights that you want to share? I have a question to, sorry, Jorge, if you don't mind, I'm going to ask all of the ladies who are in this Zoom, what did you think about Brett? Anybody who wants to chime in? Nobody wants to chime in. Nobody has an opinion about Brett. I cannot believe that.
Total slut.
When people start answering that,
Okay.
after I want you to ask the guys.
Okay, no, totally fair question. Yes, we will ask both. So Kathy bravely says, I thought Brett was selfish. I think so too. God, she just like goes around to whoever, whatever, and she just has no consideration of other people's feelings. And I don't know if that was a sense of her entitlement, right, as a woman, literally of title. If that was how a British expat just kind of behaved in those days, I don't know. I don't know where that's coming from. Jacqueline says Brett used people. Ladies, come on. unmute yourself and just say it. Just let it out.
There was a line.
I actually found pretty much most of the characters, I didn't like any of them, to be honest. I thought they're all part of the lost generation of people that indulged in decadence. And they didn't have any direction for their lives. So to me, none of them were very redeeming characters, except for Pedro.
Yeah. Carol made a really interesting comment. It's flipped gender role. Because imagine if Brett were actually a man and behaving like that, going from woman to woman to woman, would you think differently? That's a very intriguing thought there. Glenn thinks that she was rather manipulative. Joanne thought of her as insecure and looking for validation. Absolutely. And Jacqueline says, again, it was easy to see why they were called the lost generation. They had no purpose. Nina says, she is doing what a man might do, but a man will not be judged. Again, that gender role flipping. And Patricia says, I thought she was self-absorbed and self-serving, willing to use her admirers to meet her needs. Yes, manipulative. Beth says, I think she was a product of her time and place. And Jennifer says, use of the N-word and then disparaging gay references was a bit striking to not only read that and also, but to listen to it. Those of you who listen to it on the audiobook. Gentlemen, okay, your turn. What'd you think about Brett or whomever you want to talk about? Jorge, go ahead.
Yeah, you know what? I've read the book and I've seen the movie as well. And talking about the movie, which is based in the book, obviously, I think that Hemingway reflects Brett as Ava Gardner she was behaving when she was living in Madrid, because she spent 15 years of her life here in Madrid.
Interesting.
And I absolutely saw her, because I mean, there's so many stories about Hemingway as well. John, your grandfather, he was also a fan of Madrid. And Ava Gardner behaved that way herself as a personal woman here in Madrid. She loved the nightlife. She loved the bullfighters as well. She loved, kind of that kind of happy life. So that's my opinion about her. But seriously, you're right what you said, some of you, that if it was a man doing the same with the women, probably the judgment would have been slightly different. And just, as a last thing I want to say is that, Fran, I have been there. Can you see that? And actually, I was with you when I took this photo. So it's a special place, a very special place. Thank you.
Any other gentlemen want to add their thoughts regarding Brett or any of the other characters?
I mean, all the ladies are like, okay, she's selfish, but to me, she's I think she's the lost generation. Okay, is she really using the people, or are the people using her? Isn't she letting all of this relationship take her to destruction? I mean, let's go 2 years later. What's going to happen with her? I mean, she's going to be totally destroyed. She drinks too much. She goes around with any man. Maybe this is a modern point of view. I mean, it's not from 1920s, but she's heading to destruction. She's self-destructing herself. So she pretends to be empowered, like a very strong woman, but when I tell you that she's underneath, there's a lot of weakness. That's what she's missing. So to me, she's a very, very sad character, because she uses her power, her sexual power. I mean, all the men are totally in love with her. And instead of using it for good, she uses it for bad. And she puts it down and lower and lower and lower. And she's in love with Jake and she can have it. So to me, it's a very sad character. It's not a powerful character. I mean, she's just driven by love. She cannot control her life.
John,
does it make any sense?
Is that a question to me?
Yes. Same question.
So what do I think about it? I think Ernest is characterized mistakenly by some as a kind of a misogynist, but I think in fact he was fascinated by women, couldn't live without them. His mother, some say, was bisexual, very independent, very strong woman, and also wanted to raise Ernest with his older sister by a year as twins, and so she would often dress them up until they were in their teens, pretty much. So she had some very interesting ideas about raising kids and everything. And then also we need to sort of remember that one of the greatest influences on my grandfather was Gertrude Stein. He basically inhaled everything, and even the style. I mean, I remember once reading something of hers from the year, I think it was 1900, when he was a year old. Okay, someone read that to me and said, "Who's this?" And I thought, Ernest. The person went, "No, it's Gertrude Stein." I was, what? I mean, yeah. So he loved women. Okay, couldn't live with them either. I mean, it was that sort of situation. But I find Lady Brett very, shall we say, iconoclastic, revolutionary in her own way. She may be weak and whatever else, but she is definitely mixing up the gender roles, okay? Way before the wokesters came on to the playing field or anything else like that, or gender equality. It's ironic. The most macho writer, American writer of the 20th century, is so ahead of everyone else. It's just pathetic.
Those are really cool insights. And I think too, just about, her physical description with having the short hair. And then when Pedro is saying, you could be more womanly, or, be more lovely in this way and grow out your hair, and asking her to be something different than what she was. And really, she's just being her flawed true self, but her true self, I think. A couple of more statements. I'm noticing Fran actually has to step outside.
Yep.
As you all know, everybody's under COVID restrictions, and in Pamplona, they reinstated some other restrictions just on Sunday. So he cannot be inside the building for much longer. He's still staying with us, but he's going to transition outside. As he does that, I'll read some of these. Jacqueline says her only true friend was Jake. Carol says, I wonder if Jake had already been destroyed by his impotence, and or did his impotence protect him from being destroyed by Brett? Glenn says, to be honest, I don't think this generation, meaning the current one, is any different from the generation of the book. Jacqueline says the only one with whom she did not have a sexual relationship is the most honest relationship, I suppose. And I think Jake's impotency protected him from Brett. She was far too advanced for her time, Jorge says. And Kirsten says, I agree, Glenn. They are entitled and not doing anything productive now or in the near future. As we are going to be wrapping this up in just a little bit, I'm going to have Fran close everything up. But I do want to take a little moment right now to make sure that we do some housekeeping. Our next book is already posted on our website, and Susana Perucchini is going to be the moderator for that. She will be working in conjunction with Sarah Murdoch about that. So Susana, if you can unmute just for a minute and talk about the book that you've selected.
Okay, hello again. I just want to show you one of the versions. I don't know if you can see it. Actually, it's an Italian writer from Sicily called Andrea Camilleri. I chose this book because it's the first of a saga of many books that he wrote about this character. He's Inspector Montalbano. Some of you may be familiar with the series of TV shows that RAI, the Italian television, produced since many years. They started roughly 20 years ago, but I have to say I like and love both, but the books are the books, and this is a book club. So you can, if you don't want to read the book or the books, because there are many more about Camilleri with this character, I really invite you to watch the episodes that you can easily find in probably libraries. But going back to the book, this is the first one that in 1994 was published. This man had a very long life. He died in 2019. He was 94 years old, already blind, but his mind was working properly, well, with some little problems, and he was very prolific. So I decided with Sarah to choose this novel, not only because I think it's a good introduction to this character that you may love, I hope so, but also to Sicily. So as we are doing today, as we did today with Fran and Jorge and Trish, talking about Spain as a backdrop, in this case, specifically Pamplona, this can give us the opportunity to know a little bit more about Italy, but about a special corner of Italy, which is Sicily. And since Sicily is dear to my heart as much as to Sarah, we would like to tell you also more about it, because the novel is based in Sicily, but actually can tell you many of the faults, let's say, and also the good things that they're happening in Italy. So that is a little bit about the book. So I hope that you had the time, or you're having the time to read it, because it goes fast. It's a detective story, so you want to go to the juice, to the very end of the novel, to understand who he is, the murderer, and I hope you like it. So
Thank you so much, Susanna. And again, the book is The Shape of Water by Andrea Camilleri. That info is on our website right now. We'll be posting more info on our Facebook page. And since you are now our charter members of GC Book Club, I will just automatically send the link to you guys on February 20th, I believe, which is a Sunday. And you can disregard it or not, but just know that it'll automatically come to you if you want to participate in that. A couple of last statements from some people here. Nina said regarding Brett, she had also experienced World War I as a nurse, having experienced death and horror, and therefore she wants to really live life and love fully, which I think is a very essential running theme with Hemingway. It's that life experience, right? Like literally take the bull by the horns, get out there and go on that safari and be really in depth with it. Mary says, what was this typical expat lifestyle? I wonder how the French and Spanish viewed them. And then just a couple of statements regarding the new book that we're going to be talking about. Fran, if you wouldn't mind just kind of wrapping all of this up. If you guys also, just as a reminder, if you want to add to other comments, you can do that on our website under the listing for The Sun Also Rises. You can always add stuff on Facebook, and I'll have Fran tie everything up right now.
Okay. No police around, so let's take this up. So everybody, thank you so much. I hope you have enjoyed reading The Sun Also Rises. John, what can I say? Thank you. No, thank you so much for
Francisco,
being today here.
I leave you with this picture of me and two of my friends at the vodka party, where they serve you nothing but orange juice and vodka. Okay, and if you're drinking something else, they take it away from you and give you a proper drink.
Which, of course, is vodka.
This is what the fiesta is all about. Friends, drinking.
So cool. So really, John, thank you so much for being today here. And everybody, thank you for giving it a try. And thanks for keeping up with all the little mistakes we have done with technology and this and that and that and this. Hopefully you have enjoyed the book and cannot wait to read the next book of the Guide Collective Book Club. So everybody, it's been a great pleasure. Mwah! Kisses from Pamplona. I hope to see you around here soon. So, John, I'll see you next year running with the bulls.
Hasta luego.
Oh,
Thank
sorry,
you,
everybody.
everybody.
One last thing. Sorry,
Oh.
Sarah Murdoch wanted to jump in on here. Sarah, you want to unmute?
Yeah, I just wanted to thank everybody for joining us for the first installment of the Guide Collective Book Club. This was Susanna Peterchini's idea. I actually came up with this, so she's going to be helping me lead the second one. But what an incredible job Fran has done. I just want to put a big shout out to him. You have really set the bar incredibly high. I'm not sure that we're going to have the author's grandchildren on every week. But thank you so much and those of you that are watching this as a replay, we're going to also post when he went with me to the Bull Ring. He also has done a few other events as well. So we'll put this up as a package so that you can rewatch some of these if you are catching up or you're catching this in replay. And from the bottom of my heart, I also want to thank John Hemingway for joining us today. What an incredible pleasure and an honor to have somebody like you join us for this inaugural edition of our book club. So thank you to everybody. Yeah, thank you so much. And thank you to everybody who joined us for this new event. And Susanna and I will see you in Sicily in a couple of weeks. So thanks again, everybody.
And we'll
Thank
also
you.
be
Good
putting up a
night.
link. We'll also be
Stay
putting up a
healthy.
link to John's book, Bacchanalia. Thank you again, John, for being here with us. Thank you, everybody. I hope you guys
Thanks,
enjoy
Trish.
your day and get
Bye.
reading. Start on the
Ciao.
next one.